Hi there! As a part of AgilePoint's version 10 release, we're happy to announce support for the Adaptive Orchestration Viewer, a powerful visual audit trail that will help us understand all of the details whenever a human or AI agent takes dynamic or corrective action against a process. Now, as mentioned, this video will focus on the visual audit trail. Bear in mind that textual details are always available in AgilePoint's Manage Center. Now, before we show you this feature, there is one permission we need to ensure is in place. So moving into Manage, under Access Controls and Roles, we'll select a sample role. Now here under Access Rights, you're going to want to select Allow Access to Runtime Management. Once this permission is in place, you'll have access to the Adaptive Orchestration Viewer. Now for today's video, we'll be working from the Process Viewer, and I'm sure many of you are wondering, what exactly is Adaptive Process Orchestration and why does it require a viewer? What you're seeing on screen is a great example, leveraging a capability AgilePoint introduced a couple of years ago, the AI Control Tower, where I can orchestrate and govern AI agents to bring in corrective or dynamic behavior in response to exceptions. This allows me to invoke patterns that I hadn't initially designed for, things like redirecting the process, injecting new steps, spawning dynamic sub-processes, and so on. Now, of course, when these agents are taking action against our process, we want to record that not only for audit and compliance purposes, but for ongoing model retraining. Now, it's worth pointing out that it's not just AI agent-related actions that will show up here, and you'll see this later on over the course of our video, but think about actions like task rework, creating a linked work item, changing the process flow, or simply reassigning a task or canceling that task. In short, it's any action that adapts the typical process flow. The Adaptive Orchestration Monitor is not shown by default, so once we're in the Process Viewer for our preferred instance, in the ribbon, you'll notice the leftmost icon is Adaptive Orchestration Monitor. Go ahead and click that. It will refresh our Process Viewer, and as you're now seeing, wherever dynamic action was taken against our process, we now see a blue blinking indicator. So in my case, that is for a number of control towers here across the top in my top swim lane, as well as a select number of standard human tasks. So what we'll do here is we'll go through each of these individually and show the data that is exposed depending on the type of action or the type of control tower that was used. So in the case of our first control tower here, we're using a computer vision model to analyze an image. If I'd like to quickly review the details, I can hover over that blinking indicator or click the icon and pin those details here to the process viewer. Now, in either case, it's going to show the activity that triggered the control tower, in this case here being the purchase request activity with a blue arrow pointing towards that activity. It's showing me the status as well as start and end time of that control tower. Now, moving to the right, in this case here, we're using a predictive model or machine learning model. And again, by pinning these details, we can see that this control tower has been invoked twice, again showing me the triggering activity being manager approval, the status, start and end time of the control tower, as well as the input and output details. Now, moving further to the right here, not only do we have a control tower, but we're now invoking dynamic behavior. In this case here, we're using a large language model with the chat completion activity to adapt the typical process flow. So what we're going to see here is, again, the activity that triggered the process being the department head approval. Now you'll notice that this line is represented in red. And in this case here, because we're adapting the process flow, we're showing the destination activity. So both the source, triggering, and destination activity is shown. And again, all of the prior details, including start and end time, the action that was taken by the control tower, as well as the input and output details. Now lastly here, we have chat completion and sending a notification. So again, we'll see some variation depending on the type of control tower. So in this case here, again, showing the activity that triggered our control tower, the action that was taken, in this case, to send an email notification. And you'll also see a link which will actually show me the details of that email. Okay, now moving over to our human task, we're going to see a number of actions have been taken against this specific task. So first of which was a linked work item was created. That linked work item was ultimately reassigned and then later canceled. We have a change flow where, again, just like we'd shown you previously, we have the source and destination activities. This task was ultimately canceled and also reassigned. Okay, so with that, that's going to conclude the content for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gives you a better understanding of how to view and understand all of the dynamic and corrective actions that might be taken against your processes, whether they're invoked by a human or the AI control tower agents. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.